So let's talk about in here. I think I got to go back a step. A machine learning workflow, and this specifically is how AWS has defined it in the past. I call them machine learning pipelines. I try to mirror it based on the terminology that's used with the technology. But since this is in the documentation, I figured why not look at this variant of an ML pipeline and see what they have to say about it. So they're saying an ML workflow is a collection of phases, and which in turn have a collection of steps to have an ML solution, and there can be different steps and phases, and there absolutely is different language depending on the provider, but AWS is using this terminology, at least where I found this in the docs. So let's step through all these things. Let's take a look at fetch. So first we'd fetch our data, possibly from a repo or a public data set, and normally that data will sit in one place that you're accessing it. Then you need to clean the data. So here you might have an attribute where some of them are United States and other ones in the same column is US. So you might want to normalize that data to clean it to make it consistent. For preparation, maybe you might want to transform the data. So an example they have here is if you have an aircraft, you might take two attributes or values and put them together to make a new attribute, because that might be more optimal because you have less data points going into the model. Then you have your training your model. So this is where you need an algorithm, and SageMaker has a bunch that are built out of the box, and of course you can pull lots from Hugging Face as well. I still believe that there are SageMaker built-in algorithms, but that was something that used to be a really big focus on the original machine learning certification. Then we have evaluating your model. So this is where you're determining the accuracy of your model. And so they're suggesting here that SageMaker has some built-in functionalities to evaluate your model. We also looked at one specifically for foundational models within this course. But yeah, they're saying that it's built into the library there. Then we have deploy. So, this is where you are reworking the model to run on a server. And of course, SageMaker has hosting. So they make it really easy to take the model that you're using for training or in practice that's been trained and then in development and then put it into production state. Then we have evaluate. So this is where we are continuously, now we have evaluate model, but here we just have a section where we're continuously monitoring it again and again and again. And I guess here it's saying that collect ground truth and evaluate the model to identify drift, because that's an issue is like you can be using a model, but over time, it can start getting dumber or not working correctly. And so you might need to make some adjustments, right? Because every time data is passing through that model, the weights might be changing, right? So there are things like that. But yeah, there you go. And of course, we'll cover the ML pipeline, but I want to cover this just because it was in the docs, okay?